Yay Networks.
To be honest, is it the pod going on? To be honest, sit down, we need to have a talk. Cornelius gon' make a point that the others don't. Them other shows sound the same, come escape the box. Expand your mind, dig into no controversial topics. He ain't scared to keep it real. Tune into this podcast, but don't be in your feelings. We gon' have a laugh, we gon' talk about some pain. Let's talk about the present situation of today. To be honest, is this the podcast? I need to tune it right now.
Hey, to be honest, this is your boy Cornelius Lindsey with another episode, and I am so excited to have my friend. Can I call you my friend, or are we at that stage of our relationship, or we're?
I'll allow it. You'll allow it.
Some bullcrap. Bullcrap. My boy, Mr. Stephen Ivey. Bro, how are you?
Man, I'm doing great, man. How you feeling today?
Man, I'm cool, man. I got my my WWE title wrapped around my shoulder. I know you cannot see it right now, but
good.
I have that around my shoulder because every time we talk, I walk away as a champion. Oh my God,
man, what?
I don't know, but we have so much to talk about. We haven't spoken in a long time. When you used to be a regular on my other podcast when I was doing it, Silent Majority. But since I've kind of changed Silent Majority because I was kind of pigeonholed into always talking about politics, and so I was like, look, I want to talk about other things other than politics, and I wanted to merge over into another lane, and I can be honest and still talk about politics. So now I wanted to talk to you about like what's happening right now in this political arena, and we have a whole host of things. I mean, you tell me where you want to start. You want to start with vaccines? You want to start with the idea of vaccine passport? First question, Stephen, are you getting the vaccine?
No.
I'm
not getting the vaccine.
Hold up. But okay,
I can say
what
that
about
quickly?
But what about your patriotic duty to your fellow man and to your neighbor? What about your spiritual assignment to your brother and your sister?
Man, listen, it ain't deep. It ain't deep. It ain't deep. I mean, realistically, man, I feel the same way about this vaccine as I do about every other vaccine that's ever been released. You know, I never take flu vaccines. For me, I feel like if you're doing what you're supposed to do anyway, that puts you, of course, in the best seat to not be able to even encounter a lot of the exposure to certain things.
Yeah. And
so for me, man, I can't even tell you the last time I took a flu vaccine, bro. I haven't been sick in years.
Bruh.
In years.
Bruh.
You know what I'm saying? And I have not caught COVID. I've never gotten COVID.
Now, some would argue that you may have caught it, but you just may be asymptomatic. And then you become a bigger carrier of it because you carry your asymptomatic tail around and you're passing it on other people. Listen, I feel like nowadays, if you look at how media frames things, they use shame as propaganda in order to push people in order to push people into a certain thing. So they'll use shame, and that's why I said what I said earlier about, now people coming out and they're saying it's your patriotic duty. My patriotic duty is to use my God-given free right, my God-given free will. And then secondly, to use my American free will to make a decision. Now, if you make a decision and you say, hey, I'm not going to get it because of blah, 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 then that's completely fine. You say, I'm going to get it because of blah, 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 then you can do you. That's the whole point of us, having the free will to make a decision.
Absolutely.
And especially if you're going into public places, it's like if you're going into a public place, how you get upset with somebody else who did get the vaccine? It's like, well, if you're upset that I didn't get it and you're in a grocery store, don't go to the grocery store. Instacart that jump.
100%. I think realistically, man, for me, beyond just placing it on myself and saying, okay, I just don't want to do this because I blah, blah, blah. There's also a very real, and this is just me logically thinking about this, we have to think about the history of our country as it relates to distrust with medical distribution,
right?
Like there is a distrust between the people and the government as to if what they are actually doing or mandating for us to do is actually safe for us to do.
Right.
And we see this in several areas of our society, from food to you name it. So, when it comes to medicine, the pharmaceutical industry, we all know is bent towards making money, not towards making people better and healthy. Ooh. And so I am very, very skeptical of the government's involvement in medicine.
Absolutely.
And yes, I believe that we should be showing people precautions, that makes sense with science. I understand that kind of stuff. But as it relates to vaccines and them producing medication for us, I don't have a whole lot of trust in that.
Hey, I don't know if I can believe the same government that says that, a Twinkie is FDA approved, but herbal supplements aren't. Listen, I did a podcast maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the amount of hate that I got, because here's what I said. I didn't even say that you shouldn't get the vaccine. That's not even what I said. I just said, why aren't we providing people with alternatives? That was the only thing I said. Because here's the thing. People are out there that are saying, you get the vaccine, get the vaccine, get the vaccine. People are here, they're getting the vaccine, not batting an eye, not thinking about it, not questioning, just going out and doing it. Correct. That's their freedom. Correct. They can do it. But then I come around and I just say, hey, but what if the government came out? What if Dr. Fauci came out and said, listen, everybody, or here's an alternative. Why don't we cut back on sugar? Why don't we cut back on unhealthy foods? Right. Why don't we start exercising? Why don't we start doing, because the CDC put out a study that said 77% of COVID-19 related hospitalizations were people who are overweight or obese.
Yeah. So and that same number actually correlates with the death rate as well.
I believe it.
People who are dying who are also the same ones who are obese and unhealthy. Absolutely.
And then they'll say, and then I had people come back, and I said that part, and then they said, well, you don't know the people who are extremely healthy. They were extremely healthy, working out all the time. They caught COVID, and then I don't know any of their other circumstances. I don't know what else was going on with them. I don't know if they were just outliers. I don't know what's going on inside of their system. I can't comment on that. That's not what I'm here to talk about. But nonetheless, just looking at CDC study that says 77% of the individuals who were COVID-19 related in the hospital were obese or overweight. So my thing was, why don't you just provide just some type of alternative and saying, hey, as a nation, we're fat. Let's get up. Let's work out. Let's start eating healthier. Let's start producing a new normal. Let's eliminate the shame that we now have in our nation that now tries to push people in an area that says, if you do not agree with me, then something must be wrong with you. And then it somehow crept inside of the church, where I actually had preachers who were saying that this is your spiritual duty to your neighbor. This is how you love your neighbor. And I'm like, so you telling me that Jesus died on the cross for me to get a vaccine, and that's how I show my neighbor that I love them? Get the hell out! I was shocked. I was like, wow, I didn't know.
People reach. They reach.
Bro.
People reach real far, man.
I'm like scripture and verse, bro.
All right, come on. I mean, I think, and just to be completely honest about that statement in particular, I think that's a perfect example of how the church has absolutely abused scripture over the years for personal, even political means. Yeah. That's a perfect example of that. And I understand that yes, we all have an obligation to love our neighbor as we love ourselves. However, that is not a government regulated thing. I love my neighbor regardless.
Regardless.
So try to rope that into this conversation is absolutely, I mean, again, it's just a perfect example of how this has been happening over and over and over and over again as it relates to the church manipulating scriptures for political reasons, whatever their reasons are.
Yeah.
I just think it's inappropriate.
It's so inappropriate. It's like, okay, so, I mean, because now the government is now reaching out to the church and saying, because they're using all these high profile preachers to be the ones, to get on TV, to show them getting the shot, or, now it's like, let me post it, sticking a needle in my arm, and I'm showing that as the pastor, this is how much I love my congregation. Yeah. So, that percentage in the congregation can now clap. Thank you for loving us enough for getting the vaccine. Yeah. But then I get an article that came out. I think I read it, a week and a half ago. I was in Florida, when I was in Florida, when I was in Orlando. So it was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That said that they're not even sure now if the current vaccine is going to be effective because of all the new variants of COVID that are now mutating. So now they're saying that there may be more variants of it. The same way with the flu. That's why they say you go get a flu vaccine. But with the flu vaccine, you may not even get the current variant because this thing done mutated so many doggone times. They can't get the correct strand to now inject you with.
Yeah, exactly.
So they say you get the antibodies, but do I have the right antibodies? Like, come on, bro.
You just don't know. And think about that. I mean, even that right there just sounds so sketchy to me. Like, I don't know anywhere in nature where things just mutate this fast. Normally, if you're going to see things change, it's like over hundreds of years, thousands of years, or something. There's a process where it changes from something to something else. Why are things mutating over a courses of weeks? And like, I don't understand this. This is so weird to me. It doesn't make sense. And then you're trying to tell me that you have something to help fix the problem that now you want to try to mandate on me. No, I don't trust you.
Yeah.
I don't trust you. And there's too many examples in our country's history where this has been misused to hurt people, to shift people in a direction, and I'm not with it, bro. I'm not with the whoop-de-woo, as they say.
I'm gonna tell you, man, they're gonna turn us into Ninja Turtles. We're gonna be walking around here pretty soon. You're gonna see Master Splinter pop up here in a few minutes, bro.
Man, we honestly don't have any clue what could happen. And again, just to even start leaning this conversation towards the mandating of it all. Right? You can't travel. You can't go anywhere. Like, this is, of course, signs that we've seen biblically, literally coming to play right before our eyes. But to start mandating this is a whole nother level.
Insane. I forget when they put out the thing that said now the CD says that you can now travel, and I was like, but I've been traveling. But they'll say you could travel, and if you do travel, then now you don't have to quarantine and stuff like that. Because like, I think you go to Hawaii, I think they like required a certain amount of days you had to quarantine and all that kind of stuff. But if you have the vaccine, you don't have to. But then they're saying that if you do have the vaccine, it doesn't matter because you could still pass it on to somebody else. They don't know. So right now, everybody who's getting the vaccine is completely just a lab rat. Like, now we're going to get an opportunity to see what happens. So we don't know. But while I have you, I want to kind of switch gears a little bit. Since we're talking about mandates, we're talking about all those things. So, I live in the state of Georgia. You live in Florida. In the state of Georgia, there was a predominantly Republican-backed bill that went through our governor, what's his name? I can't think of the guy's name. How am I forgetting his name? Whatever, our governor in Georgia, I just got his name. But anyway, he just signed it, which it's a new voter law. Which some of the things inside of it, two of the things in particular, has a lot of people up in arms. And number one, it is that a voter ID that you have to show a voter ID, not voter ID, but a photo ID to vote. And then secondly, you cannot pass out water or food while people are standing in line. So those two things typically have people who are up in arms. Have you heard about this? Do you have a comment on this? Let's talk about this.
That's crazy. I mean, I don't know what the reasoning would be. Now, of course, photo ID is somewhat normal. I mean, every aspect of our culture, to show identification as to who you are, I don't really have a problem with that. But to act as if, you can't serve people while they're in lines, what's the real reason for that? They feel like
I think the idea is that it gets way too close to campaigning.
Okay, so if the people who are serving you have a bias towards a certain candidate, could it sway your opinion because they were nice to you?
Exactly. Because I saw it. I'm not saying that I saw people doing that when I went to go vote, but I did stand in line. I was one of those guys. I got I want to do the absentee, but then I got really weary about absentee, and I was like, I don't know if my vote gonna really count. Like, I don't know if they're gonna do something with it. So I was like, let me actually go in person. So I stood in line, and I waited probably about 2 hours. My wife sat in the car until we got up, and then she got out. But I probably waited about 2 hours. And while I was out there were people who were handing out water and they were handing out chips and stuff like that. And they had on like, American hat and stuff like that. And I didn't hear anybody saying, vote for this person, vote for that person, do this or do that. I thought it was completely harmless. But now the question is becoming, well, the main thing that a lot of Democrats are saying is that this is a racist bill that is racist. Do you believe that it's racist to say that people cannot hand out water and chips or hand out water to snacks to people who are standing in line getting ready to vote?
No, I mean, not unless it was only you can't do it to a certain group of people. But
if it's to everybody,
but no, it's not right. But if it's to everybody, it's no way it can be racist.
Yeah,
that's not even the definition of racist.
And I'm literally trying to figure out why the companies, like, because now there's a big thing with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola brought out a statement that was against the bill. Which, there was a thing that came out also that Coca-Cola, with their shareholders meeting, you had to provide a photo ID in order to get into the shareholders meeting. Delta came out against it, but I've never been able to get on a Delta flight without showing identification, like 5 different times. You
have to.
I don't. And now I think it was like American Airlines, United Airlines, one of them. They just came out against it. The Major League Baseball, they just switched their All-Star game from Atlanta, which is I
heard about this.
Predominantly, I think the city of Atlanta is 51% Black, and where the businesses would ultimately they would earn a ton of money from it. And they just took it out of Atlanta and they moved it to Denver, Colorado, which is predominantly white. And so now those businesses in Denver will get it, but then also in the state of Colorado, you have to show an ID in order to vote. So is this just cancel culture pushing this onto people and people not taking the time to really think about the ramifications and the implications of what's happening?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of gaslighting going on, but for sure, there's just, even talking through this doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. Like, logically, it just doesn't make sense. And this is, I don't care what side of the aisle you stand on.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
This is a lot of this going on. Even when, people started first asking questions about, this idea of like, COVID, politics, all this stuff being interwoven together. It's like, there's so many dynamics to this, man. For me, I just think people really need to like take some time and think. Stop looking at the news all the time and just be a free thinker for a moment. Like, think for yourself. Logically look through this and see what's going on, man, because people be like, oh yeah, I'll take the vaccine, or I'm not taking the vaccine, or I'll do this and I'm not doing that. And you'll say that until there's this mandate coming down the pipe where, I mean, so how far are you really, really willing to go with that statement? Oh, I'm not going to take it. Okay, well, you're not going to take it if they say you can't leave your house unless you take it, or your kids can't go to school unless you take it, or you can't go to the grocery store unless you take it, or what? We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
I'm
saying right now. You have no idea. I'm saying it right now, man. I wouldn't take it. I'm gonna not take it as long as I can't take it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm down to the very end,
bro. I'm gonna be right there with you. Like, you can't go to the grocery store. I'm like, well, hand my groceries through the door, bro.
That's it.
Give me mine through the window.
That's it. It's the cart, Amazon. I got a lot of options. Got a lot of options, bro.
I don't get it. And that's the biggest thing now. Are they going to mandate it inside of schools? Because I know that they were saying, like, some public universities and probably private universities were going to mandate it to their students that in order for them to come back on campus, they have to be vaccinated, which then brings in the passport, the vaccine passport. Now, in our Brian Kemp, that's the governor's name. That's his name. Why did I forget it? But anyway, in our state, I know in yours too, the governor has flat out just said we are against vaccine passports. Because in some states, they're probably going to require vaccine passports. So when you land in New York City or possibly even California, when you land there, you have to show with your vaccine passport, I have been vaccinated. And since I have been vaccinated, then this gives me all the liberties that I can now have, in exploring this state. And if that's the case, I probably ain't gonna see California and New York City for a long time. And I'm okay with that. I don't know if my wife is okay with that, but I'm cool with that.
I mean, for me, I feel like the rules should be a little bit different from people coming international, as opposed to stateside. stateside travel, I feel like should be governed a little bit different than international travel.
Yeah.
Since we're trying to contain things a certain way, especially as it relates to variants and all that other stuff. But I think it could get very out of hand really quickly.
Yo, just keep Mexico open and keep Dubai open. If you keep those two places open,
Can we keep
Gucci.
open the Maldives?
Oh yes, yeah. But you see that's so far. That's so far away. Like Dubai. I can get there. I think we have to fly from here to New York City. Take JFK, go straight into Dubai. And I think that flight from here to JFK is like an hour and a half, and then from JFK to Dubai, I think we did like it was like 9 hours. No, maybe 12 hours. I don't know. I know from here to London is 12, so maybe 12. I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, let's just say if you keep Dubai open, keep Cabo open. Like that's our destination, Just keep Mexico open.
Please.
Just keep Mexico open, keep Dubai open. If you close down, if I can't get into Hawaii, I'll go to Mexico. I don't care. I love it. I love my Hispanic community. Let's do it. I go to Dubai. I love my Middle Eastern community. Let's do it. I ain't got no problem with it. Everybody else, hey, I ain't got to go to California. Bye.
Right.
But bro, it's a lot of stuff going on nowadays. You got the vaccines with the vaccine passports. Yep. You have you have the voter registration thing that's happening right now in Georgia. Your state, the state of Florida, is like wide open for business. Y'all just ain't never cared about anything.
Come to the beach, bro. I was on the beach half of last year, bro. Let me just be honest. Like when you live by the beach, there's who go tell you can't go put your feet on the sand? Ain't nobody gonna tell you that.
That's true.
Outside was probably the best place you could possibly be, to be honest. Like outdoor, socially distanced. I think I had a good time. They were at that time they were saying heat actually killed COVID. So
I remember
being
that.
outside in the sunshine. I'm just saying.
I remember that. I remember they said heat was gonna kill it. I remember they kept saying the heat. They said, "Oh yeah, heat is gonna kill it. Heat is going to kill it." So by the summer, by the spring and summertime, it's gonna be gone. It's gonna be dead. Okay, so let me ask you this question. It came out and they said that Donald Trump is going to start his own social media page. You've been public before in saying that are you politically affiliated? Because I know before you said you were. Are you still now?
I am a registered Democrat. But that's as far as it goes.
Okay, you're more libertarian though, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm definitely on the moderate side of things. For sure.
Okay, good. I'm like pledge libertarian. That's just where I am in the state of Georgia. That doesn't mean a hill of beans though. But Donald Trump has come out with his own social media, and so I mean, I got to be in the mix. I want to know what's happening. I want to know what's being said. Absolutely. Are you serious? Oh, you know how boring Twitter has gotten without 45? Do you know how boring the news is?
Oh my gosh.
Joe Biden don't do nothing. Bro, his presidency has been fun for
much better.
No, absolutely not. You know how my anxiety was when Trump was president? I have none of that now. I don't have to see my therapist anymore. Like, no, I needed that. I needed that drama in my life. Nobody fights Biden. This man took 50 days to have a press conference? Is he still alive? Can I ask that question? Can I ask that question? Is that a bad question? Is that a bad question? Is that a bad question? I really want to know.
I mean, it could be a stunt double. I don't know.
Bro, and what the hell is going on at the border, bro? What's going on at the border?
Oh, man. There's a lot of things happening.
What's going on at the border?
They're cleaning up a mess. That's what they're doing.
Who's cleaning up the mess?
A mess.
Kamala.
They're cleaning up a mess.
Okay, VP Harris, he put her in charge of it, right?
Yes.
He hasn't gone down there. Is that a problem?
I mean, 45 didn't go down there.
You lying. 45 did go down there. 45 went.
45
President Trump
went down there when it first started.
But he went down.
He's been down there since.
He did go. Remember, he went down. He went down to go tour the fence. He did. He went down. He did. I mean, but you got. Okay, you got to ask the question. Is she going to go down? Is President Biden going to go down? Where's AOC in talking about the same thing? I mean, they were hammering. Right. They were hammering President Trump really hard about building the wall. About
Yeah, you know what? I think it's just priorities right now. I mean, not to say that this isn't a high priority. I just think COVID's like the number one thing on their list.
What else you gonna do for COVID? He just came out and said 150 million people got vaccinated. I mean, it seems like it's running on its own now.
But that's the work they've been doing.
Joe Biden ain't doing it.
Talking about, it's the first 90 days. He's been signing stuff since he got in.
He can sign it in Texas. He can sign it in Arizona. He can sign it on a plane. It's like, I gotta do a Dr. Seuss here. He can sign it in a car. He can sign it on a plane. He can sign it anywhere. I can sign an executive order. You got to be kidding me. And all Joe Biden is doing the same playbook that Donald Trump wrote before he left office. Donald Trump came out and he said, I believe that adults will be able to be vaccinated by, I think it was like April or May. Then they came out and said, that's highly unlikely. Well, Joe Biden just came out and just said that the majority of adults are going to be able to be vaccinated by April, whatever it is. And that's the same thing Donald Trump said. But now everybody's like, woohoo, go Joe, you did it. We did it, Joe. Like everybody's happy about it now. But I'm like, what the hell? I mean, but you just upset because, Orange Man Bad said it, right? Is that not the case?
Right. I mean, I do think there is a little bit of that going on.
A little bit? You got to be kidding me.
I don't think they completely unraveled the plan, but I do think they shifted it a lot. I think the way they went about it, it's just different. I think the problem is when you have states who are trying to control how the vaccine comes out instead of listening to, hey, look, this is what we need. This is the best way to get everybody on board. They don't want to do that. Some of these states are kicking the system like, no, we're going to do it our way. Just give us the money, or just give us the vaccines. I just think we got to find a way to really work together and make sure that we have the most effective
rights,
process.
Though. I mean, because a governor knows the best way to run his state than the president. I mean, the president, you sit in Washington, D.C., you don't know how Iowa works. You just go there when you want votes. You don't know how Georgia works. We know as a governor, I would know what's best for my house, for my state. And I don't want some federal agency. And plus, doesn't Joe Biden, doesn't he have a vaccine czar? He has somebody else who does that. So why can't he take his 90-year-old self down to the border? He can't walk it, or is he going to trip when he gets there? I'm asking real questions.
You know what?
I'm asking real questions because I want real answers. That's all I'm doing.
I can't. I believe that's on the agenda. I mean, again, I don't know.
It's on the agenda.
It's on the agenda. I just feel like right now COVID is their number one concern. You don't hear anything else but COVID.
Yes, right, because it is political theater right now. It is political theater. And I believe it's the government's way to being able to push out propaganda that they use shame in order to push it.
Or is it that, hey, we're mostly concerned about keeping Americans safe and saving American lives?
Absolutely not. Are you freaking kidding me? Look how fat they let us get. They don't care anything about American health. I don't think American health.
When I say we, Biden has been in office, and I say we because I voted for Biden. Let that be known. But
that makes
we've been in office. We've been in office 90 days.
What does that mean with the price of tea in China?
Well, what I'm saying is like what you're seeing right now is new momentum. Right?
New momentum.
So we can't expect this new momentum. We had to shift momentum from a crisis at the Capitol. We're not going back there. We had to shift the entire country back into order.
That's okay. Okay, so, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
My God.
No argument there. That was completely wrong. I came out and I said it. That Capitol resurrection, that thing was completely bad. It was bad. It was bad. It was horrible. it was everything. I was sitting there watching the TV like, the hell am I watching? Is this Game of Thrones?
Man,
it's like is this TV?
Was.
I legit thought I was watching a movie. It was like a movie. It was like Braveheart.
It's like a movie.
It was like,
it did.
You remember? It's like Braveheart. I was like, is this America? And then nobody died. I was shocked. I was like, yo, nobody got shot. Like, dude literally picked up a flag and hit a police officer with it. And I'm like, the police officer just looked up at him. I was like, yo.
How? And what is it?
Yeah.
Different America.
Yeah. But man,
different America.
But man, I appreciate you coming on here. I have run out of all of my time. Steven, it's always an honor to have you on here. I gotta have you back because I had like a whole list of things I'd ask you, but I have ran out of all of my time. Man, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining me again on To Be Honest.
Yeah, man, it's my pleasure. I will see you on Trump's social media.
And also, all y'all listening, man, I appreciate y'all. Make sure you share this. Hey, you know what? We have real conversations, but it's always going to be honest. And as always, intro deuces. I'm out.